Hi, and welcome to Spotlight Santa Monica. I'm Sandy Jacobson. Whether you are shopping our local businesses on Main Street or enjoying the history and fun of our world-famous pier, you know you're lucky to call Santa Monica home. I'm going to introduce you to the people and departments that help make our city such a desirable place to live. Did you know Santa Monica businesses help provide our local schools with millions of dollars in funding? Joining me now is Jennifer Taylor, Economic Development Administrator. That's quite a title, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here today, Sandy.
And I want to point out that you are wearing a very special shirt.
Yes, I'm wearing one of our limited edition Buy Local Santa Monica t-shirts.
Okay, so if we see that, we know that's, do the stores have that?
No, our Convention and Visitors Bureau sells them at our visitor center, and we also sell them at festivals. So
Okay,
we're trying to get
know.
them out and about in the community.
What is Buy Local Santa Monica, and how long has it been running?
So Buy Local Santa Monica is a campaign that was launched back in 2009. It's a partnership between the city and the local business community, and it's really just about promoting our local businesses and making sure our residents know about the benefits of shopping local, eating local, playing local in terms of the economic benefits, the community benefits, the environmental benefits. So it's a great partnership, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger over the years.
Well, what are the benefits actually to the community?
Huge amount. You raise the issue about money to the schools. Last year, our local purchases collectively raised over $47 million for Santa Monica. So that meant money for our schools, as money for our new library, Pico Library, our parks, our emergency services. So certainly we're trying to communicate the message about when you shop in Santa Monica and when you eat in Santa Monica, any business, you're reinvesting back in our community. So economic benefits are huge, and there's lots of environmental benefits too.
What impact do the local purchases have on the community? Like for every $100 spent, how does that work out?
Yeah, there's a great study that was done by a group called Civic Economics, and it talked about for every $100 you spend, as much as $70 is reinvested back into the community. So taking, for example, our Buy Local businesses, many of them are owned by Santa Monica residents, over 50%. They employ Santa Monica residents as well. And so when you're shopping locally, you're supporting our friends and neighbors. They're hiring local, they're procuring local services in town, so it all is reinvested back in terms of taxes and wages and helps support everyone.
Is it automatic for a Santa Monica business to be part of the program, or do they actually have to join up?
Everyone who's in Santa Monica is part of Buy Local, but we encourage them all to actively join in terms of, so we can add them to our Buy Local business directory and our website, and to help communicate some of the messages about what makes them special and unique. So it's free for any business in Santa Monica to join. They just need to have a business license here with the City of Santa Monica and be physically located here.
So what about the chains? That would mean the chains aren't part of this.
Chains are welcome too. Our campaign is a little unique in that any business here in Santa Monica, we want to be part of Buy Local to celebrate, because they all give back to the community. They all hire residents here. They all generate sales tax revenue for the city. So yeah, everyone's welcome. It's a location.
So there's a lot of community partners. Tell us a bit about the Buy Local for the schools. How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great partnership. So about 2 years ago, we joined up with the Santa Monica Malibu Education Foundation, the PTAs, and the Unified School District here in Santa Monica to just help to communicate the messaging and expand it out to the schools. Back in 2011, our residents passed a Measure Y, which is a 0.5% use tax on transactions in Santa Monica. So the schools directly benefit from local purchases. So I'd raised the issue, $47 million last year. $7.5 million went directly to the schools, in addition to some of that funding for helping to fund 43 school teachers, helping to fund summer school programs. So it's a great partnership.
It really is. And so that extra 0.5% was destined strictly for the schools, goes designated.
Split between the schools and the city. So the schools, and then also helping to support like our emergency services like police and fire.
So are there other organizations or any other organizations that have joined Buy Local?
So each year we add a new strategic partner. This year it's our biking community. So I'm a big bicycle advocate. And Santa Monica Spoke and the Santa Monica Bike Center are our partners this year, and we hope to build and expand every year. And so we've been doing some really fun things. Spoke does handlebar happy hour events.
Is Spoke a club or a store?
Yeah, Spoke is a club. It's a chapter. It's a local chapter of the LA County Bike Coalition, and it's based here in Santa Monica. And we find that a lot of our residents are avid bicyclists, and bicyclists tend to stay local more in terms of eating locally, shopping locally, using our farmers market. So we've been doing some really fun bike riding partnerships to local businesses with Spoke. So that's been great.
Are the stores involved? Do they have racks for you guys?
We're getting more and more. So that's one of the things the city recently has been rolling out bike parking. And I think we have grants available right now for businesses to apply so that they can get bike racks outside. And we're trying to encourage more of that as part of our citywide bike action plan.
How does the city of Santa Monica, the actual government, support the Buy Local campaign?
So I'm part of the city's economic development team, and we work with all of our businesses here in Santa Monica. I'm the chair of the Buy Local Santa Monica campaign, and that's one of many projects we do with our businesses. We have a great partnership as well called the Santa Monica Alliance, where we work in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce and some of our larger businesses and real estate brokers to help attract and retain businesses here in Santa Monica. Our department provides ombudsman service, or ombudspeople service to our 4 business improvement districts here. So we're working a lot with local businesses. We have a local procurement policy where we help buy local as the city, wherever possible too. So we have a lot of initiatives just to help to support our businesses.
How about visitors? We get so many tourists. Is there any benefit to them from the Buy Local program?
Absolutely. When we go traveling somewhere, you want to go, you don't want to go to a tourist trap. You want to go where the locals go. You want to go where the inside secrets are.
Right.
And so the Santa Monica Convention and Visitors Bureau is one of our partners for Buy Local, and we're helping to really communicate that messaging about go where the locals go. Log on to our website, buylocalsantamonica.com. We have a great blog on there as well. So in addition to the business directory, we have self-guided bike rides, which the Santa Monica Bike Center gives when our visitors rent bikes to get around Santa Monica, and then they can do vintage clothing shopping on a bike or eating local on a bike. And so there's a lot of great opportunities.
So we only have less than a minute, but I know you have lots of events. What's coming up? Buy Local events.
Holidays. So holidays are a big time of year for our businesses. Each of our business improvement districts has a big holiday event. Pico Boulevard has a Stronger Together community mixer event, and Main Street has lots of events going on too, with tree lighting and candlelight walk. And so those are some upcoming. Our website has all the events online.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Great, thank you.
And for more on Buy Local, visit buylocalsantamonica.com. Up next, affordable housing in Santa Monica? It exists. Details next.
Hey! I don't know you.
Some problems are just too big to ignore. But don't take matters into your own hands. With the help of a mediator, you can find a solution. Mediators are volunteer professionals who can help you resolve issues without the high cost of legal fees.
Wonder if he's single.
Hey, I saw him first.
Oh boy, here we go.
Call us or reach out on the web if you'd like to volunteer or donate.
Hey, slow down.
Right next to the library on 7th Street is the Santa Monica History Museum, where history comes to life for the entire family. Enjoy the exhibits, main gallery, the photo archive, research gallery, and much more. Come visit the Santa Monica History Museum, keeping history alive.
Affordable housing and the city of Santa Monica are not necessarily things that you would think go together. But did you know the city has a whole department dedicated to creating affordable housing options? Joining me now is Jim Kemper, Housing Administration. Jim, thank you so much. I misspoke your title. You're the Housing Administrator.
That's correct.
You're in charge of that whole thing.
That's right.
Well, when people think about Santa Monica, they think of beachfront condos and mansions along Georgina and everything. But isn't there housing for people who aren't .com gazillionaires somewhere in the city?
Absolutely. Santa Monica certainly has its share of master mansions and beachfront condominiums, but what folks may not know is there's several thousand apartments in Santa Monica that are affordable to low and moderate income families and seniors and persons with special needs. And it's actually distributed in neighborhoods all over the city.
Why is affordable housing a priority? Why is there a department like yours?
The city prioritizes affordable housing because Santa Monica values diversity, and affordable housing helps maintain that diversity. Affordable housing lets residents who live here remain in Santa Monica throughout their lives. It also provides opportunities for Santa Monica workers to live closer to their jobs, which then reduces traffic and more fully integrates them into the community.
Yeah, and that reducing traffic thing really helps, doesn't it?
That's a big deal, yes.
Now, next to the park, that they're building mixed income housing there, right? Mm-hmm. So is that going to be affordable, and how does that work?
That's referred to as kind of a public-private partnership where the city leveraged the value of some of the land to allow market rate housing and then saved a portion of the site for affordable housing. So it's really a 50-50 mix of market rate housing and affordable housing.
There's something I like about the sound of that. It feels very democratic.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of the affordable housing that you said that is mixed throughout the city, is it like that where it's, you know, like around Montana, for example, which I always think must be a high-rent district?
Well, the Montana is primarily a single-family district between right, but other than the single-family areas, affordable housing is distributed really in all the neighborhoods of the city, from Ocean Park, Sunset Park, north of Wilshire, Sentinel. It's really quite distributed well.
So there's such a thing as rental assistance. How does that work?
Correct. Rental assistance makes housing affordable by providing a direct subsidy to a qualifying household that pays a portion of their rent. Mm-hmm. And it's a simple yet very effective kind of approach, because what it does is expand the opportunity for that household to really live anywhere in the city. Because the subsidy is not connected to the subsidy is connected to the family itself and not a particular building, then they can search for housing anywhere in the city that really best suits their needs in terms of school and markets and whatever else
So they get a check, or the landlord gets a check?
The landlord gets a check, but the household, the family gets qualified for the housing, but the checks go directly to the landlord to pay a portion of the rent.
Does the person who is applying or getting this check, do they have to work in Santa Monica?
There are priorities for persons who live in Santa Monica or work in Santa Monica. There's a variety of programs. The rental assistance is a federal program, so it has priorities for veterans, disabled persons, things like that.
So they don't necessarily have to work in Santa Monica?
No, they do not.
What's housing preservation?
Housing preservation, in the context of affordable housing, I think the best way to describe it is it refers to when nonprofit housing providers purchase apartment properties and then dedicate them to affordable housing. What that approach does is protects the existing residents from being displaced due to market forces like rapidly rising rents, or redevelopment of the property from apartments, let's say, into condominiums. And so it's a great way to, it's referred to as it preserves the housing. It also usually involves rehabilitating the building. The apartments were built, let's say, in the 30s or 40s, so it rehabilitates the building and increases the useful life for another 50 or 80 years.
Now, who is actually responsible for that? Is that the city or the landlord or whom?
There is a nonprofit housing development community that takes that role. They receive funds from the city, banks, any other areas they can leverage funding, but they are the ones who own and operate it. They are the experts at doing that.
So we talk a lot about sustainability in Santa Monica. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Preserving a building is sort of more sustainable than tearing it down, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think we would say that. sustainability plays a big role. In broader terms, what's neat about it is if the architects and engineers think in advance why they are designing the buildings and incorporate features into it that are sustainable, then it operates more efficiently and uses less natural resources like water and gas and electricity.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. What is your department, what can they do for seniors?
Seniors are actually a large part of the persons our department serves, either through direct rental assistance, as I mentioned earlier, or through there's several developments that are funded throughout the city that are reserved specifically for seniors. And seniors are one of the most economically vulnerable groups because they're usually retired, so they're living on fixed income. And what affordable housing does is it allows them to stretch that fixed income budget so it's available for the other necessities like healthy food and medical expenses and things like that.
How does somebody find out about this? I mean, I never heard of it.
There's usually a lot of, if you watch the local newspapers, the websites, affordable housing, the demand, the need far exceeds the supply, so there's generally a lot of interest in affordable housing developments, such as the one at the Civic Center that you mentioned across from City Hall. So you just need to kind of watch the local newspapers and websites, and there's usually some marketing done in the local businesses and the schools and the churches, things like that.
Tell me about OPCC. What is that?
OPCC is a social service provider that specializes in serving homeless persons and persons with mental illness. They are a nonprofit organization that's been in Santa Monica for several decades. And in addition to helping persons find housing that stabilize their housing situation, one of the most important things they do is help them obtain the medical, the psychological, and the educational services they need so they can live independently and successfully in their homes, and then ultimately get integrated back into the community.
If you're building, you don't so much as build the new housing except in this unusual situation, or do you? Where do you decide where affordable housing is going to go?
That's generally opportunity driven by the nonprofit affordable housing developers. I think the best way to answer that would be to say that affordable housing is needed virtually everywhere and anywhere in an urban area. So what happens is affordable housing developers are out there in the market in the hunt for opportunities. They see a site, they will, then they need to evaluate it for feasibility. So in the context of affordable housing, amenities like close proximity to public transportation to supermarkets, to schools, and to parks are definitely an important factors in considering the appropriateness of the site.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for telling us about something that I don't think everybody knows about, and we're going to talk about your website. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So if you're interested for more on affordable housing, please go to smgov.net/housing. Up next, it's one of the most photographed locations in the world. We're talking about our famous pier. Stay tuned.
Hey, Mom. Yes, I'm home. Saved you some dinner.
Plan now for a major earthquake. Contact the Santa Monica Office of Emergency Management. Don't be caught in the dark.
Welcome to our home away from home.
Action!
When I came here, I discovered I could write.
I found the confidence to share my poetry, and now they're songs.
I got away from the trouble in my neighborhood.
Come check us out at the Pico Youth and Family Center. Join us.
Or volunteer. Together, we can change our world.
That's a wrap.
The pier is where it all happens. Concerts, movies, the Ferris wheel, great food, and more. Joining me now is Pier Manager Rod Merl. Thank you, Rod, for joining us.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Well, so what's new at the pier?
Well, there's so many things. It's a really exciting time at the pier. We're doing a lot of things in terms of fixing it up and improving it. One of the largest projects, if you've noticed, or if anybody's come down recently, is this big crane. It's
I was going to ask you about what is with
what's
that
up
crane.
with the crane.
Yeah, what's up
right.
with the crane, right.
Well, the crane is indicative of the fact that we're changing about 360 feet of the pier. The central section that's basically in front of Pacific Park, out through that narrow neck. And that actually is a 93-year-old portion of the pier. It's the oldest portion of the pier that's over water. And we've been working on this project for some time. A lot of people might remember when there were a lot of metal plates on the pier and saying, what happened to the boardwalk? Those were put as a temporary fix about 2002, and now we're fixing it. And so what will happen is new concrete pilings will go in.
Underneath.
Right. It'll be a new substructure. The utilities be all reorganized under there. And then we restore our boardwalk, so we'll have a boardwalk again from one end of the pier to the other. And we'll be good to go for another 100 years.
I haven't been to the pier in a while. How can people get from one end to the other?
Absolutely. We're open throughout this period of time. It's funny, when I'm walking around, because that's one of the reasons I'm on the pier, is to make sure that how things are going, and I walk 2 or 3 times a day up and down the pier. The morning is full of people coming out with their cameras and their video cameras watching the construction. So it's become its own attraction.
Oh, that's funny. You have a very cool office at the pier. Tell us
Absolutely.
where it is. You have the coolest office in Santa Monica.
I think so, without question. I'm on top of the Carousel building, and I get all the free Carousel music concerts I could want.
Even more than you wanted, maybe. So
my life has a soundtrack.
Right. So you are where that famous scene in the Sting took place.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well, the Carousel has been used, and the Hippodrome building has been used for a lot of movies. Yeah. It's going to be 100 years old, that building, in a couple of years. The carousel that's in there actually is also about 93 years old.
And it was the horses were handmade, weren't they?
Yes, it's one of the very few all wooden carousels that exist in the country.
So what are the pier hours?
The pier is always open, and that's something we want everybody to
Always,
understand.
you mean like if you wanted to walk around there at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Absolutely, and just so you know, we also have harbor guards there 24/7. But it's interesting, the pier has a life during the different times of the day, you know. In the morning, it's full of runners and bicyclists and people on a stroll or just sitting there watching the sunrise and enjoying that. And over the course of the day, you'll get the families and people visiting, a lot of foreign visitors right now. And as evening comes, you'll get people going to the restaurants or going for the live music. And then as the evening is later, the fishermen take over, and you can be there at 3 or 4 in the morning, and there's always somebody fishing there. And sometimes people come down, and amazingly, I've seen with families, and they have the little kids sleeping in the corner while they're fishing. So it has a 24-hour life cycle, but different people come at different times.
Can you eat the fish you get from off the pier?
Well, I think there's certain kinds of fish, yes, and there's certain fish that are restricted. And one of the things that's unique about a pier is you don't need a fishing license to fish off a pier.
Okay, you mentioned the restaurants. Now, when I think of the pier, I think of all that great junk food. Okay, I shouldn't call it junk food. Only a doctor would think of it as junk food. It's divine. But let's say
diverse.
Diverse. Okay, and it's fattening. But let's say I was on a diet. Are there restaurants for grown-ups?
Well, we actually have a new restaurant opening, El Mari. In fact, it's opening in November, and it'll be an Italian restaurant. We have a range of restaurants. We have El Mari for sit-down dining, kind of Italian. We have Mirasol at the far end of the pier, which is Mexican food. We have Bubba Gump's, which is very Americana food and very family-oriented. Pier Burger for hamburgers. We have the soda jerks, which has ice cream.
I knew that.
Yeah, that's
that one I know.
That's the low-calorie food.
Right.
And we also have these carts. There's this German sausage cart.
Oh, and I haven't seen that.
There's a fresh fruit cart. So we try to be as diverse. And it's I go to a lot of community meetings and organization meetings and try to get the feel of what's important on the pier, and food is one of them.
Right.
As diverse a choice of food as possible. The other, of course, is access and parking and all those issues.
Where do you park for the pier? If that pier parking lot is closed, is it open right now? Because I know once I drove by, it seemed to be blocked off.
It's open.
It's open. So then where else do you park?
The big lot, which is the 1550 lot, as it's called, it's right north of the pier, the very large lot, which you access. And one of the things I know that the city's working on is a new signage program to improve the visibility of where you get, how you get to various parking areas. If you go Ocean Boulevard south of the pier to Seaside Lane and down, it'll take you to the 1550 lot.
And then you just, how do you get back up to the pier then? There's
you
stairs.
you can walk up to the pier, or there's an elevator in Bubba Gump's to go up. But as far as the parking on the deck, there's about 266 parking spaces on the deck, and you just get that by going straight down Colorado Boulevard for it. It's open most of the time unless there's a large event, or in the summer it fills up really quick. So if it's the summer, the chances are it's already full.
And yet, I've been there lots of times, and it's always, there's always a spot. I can always find, and then I like walking on it. There's something so cool about those wooden slats and everything.
And that's why we're so thrilled to get it all back to a wooden boardwalk.
Right. There used to be two piers, right?
Yes, that's right. The pier has an interesting history. When we talk about the pier being created in 1909, that's the municipal pier. That's the part that's kind of the straight out to the ocean. And that was created in 1909, and that was always city. Then in 1916, this big wide section, which is now mostly the parking lot and then Pacific Park, that was the amusement park pier, and it was created by a guy named Charles Loof, and it was, for years, it was amusement parks and all that. This was in 1916.
Now, were they parallel to each other?
Absolutely. And you can still see the dividing line. If you look, there's like this yellow border between the municipal pier and what was the Newcomb Pier. And there's a slight, that's fair because there's a slight difference in height. But the city acquired that area in about 1974, and it's been one pier since, though, as I say, they're adjacent. But the history has always been that large square pier has always been for amusement. It was the La Monica Ballroom in the 30s, the largest ballroom in the world.
Really? It was the largest in the world?
That's where they they shoot horses. And they really did, that. And they really did have those dance-a-thons then.
Yeah, during the Depression?
Yes.
Now, you guys are doing something on the bridge, too, aren't you?
One of the other projects. So when we're doing a lot of improvements on the pier. We've changed all LED lighting, reducing our costs. But the big projects are the construction we mentioned about restoring the middle of the pier. But the one that's coming that's going to be big is the replacement of the Pier Bridge. There are federal funds for that specifically because that bridge does need to be replaced. It's reaching the end of its life expectancy. So we're in the process now of getting public input about the design and so forth. But what we're trying to do, that current bridge was built in 1940. It was a WPA project, and it has all the beauty of a piece of concrete. And so we're looking at something that's designed well to match the community, but also deals with ADA access, better bicycle access.
Bringing it a little up to date.
Right, and also pedestrian access, because the other thing that's coming to the pier is Expo. It's going to be 4 blocks away, and there's going to be a new Esplanade connecting it.
Thank you so much, Rod, for bringing us up to date on the pier.
Well, I hope everybody will come down and visit and look for me. I'm out there all the time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more information, please visit smpier. Thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight Santa Monica. Make sure to tune in next time to meet more of these amazing people who are making things happen in our community.